Ghostbusters is a 1984 comedy starring Saturday Night Live alums Harold Ramis as super genius Dr. Egon Spengler, Dan Aykroyd as lovable Dr. Ray Stantz, Bill Murray as sarcastic Dr. Peter Venkman, and Ernie Hudson rounding off the team as charismatic Winston Zeddemore. It was a huge hit and one of the most beloved films of the 80s. Its sequel wasn't as well received, but I feel it's kind of underrated overall. Sadly, mostly due to Bill Murray being a total fun sponge, we didn't get a third installment, though Dan Aykroyd has mentioned ideas for a final installment of a trilogy for decades since. Even more sad, the third movie we did eventually get, Ghostbusters Afterlife, happened only after the passing of one of the four main cast members, Harold Ramis having passed away in 2010. But what if I told you that, for all intents and purposes, Afterlife was really Ghostbusters 4? What if there was already a Ghostbusters 3, and it was the last major piece of media that had all four of its original actors in their roles? Well, there was. But it wasn't a movie. It was a video game. Join me for a closer look today at Ghostbusters, the video game, Remastered. Greetings everyone, I am the hipster Snek, and today we'll be looking at what I personally consider to be Ghostbusters 3, simply but somewhat confusingly named Ghostbusters the video game. Originally released back on the PS3 and Xbox 360 during 2009, it was ported forward with some updated graphics and tweaks to become the Remastered edition, which is the version you'll be seeing footage in today's video from. As said, all four original actors reprise their roles for this game. It's a bit of a period piece, being set in 1991, just 2 years after the end of the second film. When an artifact in the middle of a Gozer the Gozerian themed exhibit in a local museum causes a psychokinetic wave that impacts the entirety of New York City, the Ghostbusters find themselves busier than ever, returning to scenes both new and familiar from both the feature films and even references from the long-running animated series. There is a lot of love, and longtime fans will be rewarded for those return trips. As an amusing in-story explanation, the Ghostbusters are covered by a citywide insurance policy, allowing the newcomer cadet, simply referred to as Rookie for the entire game, being allowed to blast anything he wants with his proton pack and not need worry about repercussions. Yes, rather than playing one of the four mains, they'll form your party and mentors as you fill the boots of the Rookie. And together, the five heroes venture forth into this new story to find where this event originated from. To begin with, the game looks great, as something entitled Remastered truly ought to. The actors look like, well, they're actors. The sets are divine, especially as between missions you're allowed to walk around the actual firehouse and see the various artifacts and cursed items you've collected throughout your missions. Some of these are very random and goofy, like the Toaster of Sights Unseen, my personal favorite, and some are callbacks to the films, including the still-haunted portrait of Vigo the Carpathian. There's even a monitor with the infamous NES Ghostbusters clear screen on it just for kicks, and the particle effects are downright amazing, making those proton streams look incredible every time you see them, in addition to the other weapons you get to utilize. Spoiler alert, I guess. Like this particular moment where you get revisited by Mr. Stay Puft climbing up the side of a skyscraper like something out of King Kong, and the Rookie is hung out by his belt to blast him down just to stall for time. Absolutely fantastic stuff. And the audio is also great, borrowing freely from the cinematic soundtracks of the first two films, obviously, and the main cast being voiced by their real-world counterparts. Speaking of voices, I will say that I feel that Bill Murray is kind of phoning his lines in a bit, but it's Bill Murray. I didn't expect much else.
Hey, you're up, buddy. Training will be on the job tonight. Try not to destroy too many Manhattan landmarks. That's our job.
Everyone else is spot on. Egon being the walking brain, Ray being thrilled at the new potential discoveries, and Winston on standby, always a one-liner armed and ready. Everyone does an excellent job, and it's delightful to hear the movie OSTs included in a game, something that the Sonic the Hedgehog movies could take to heart, but I digress. Since the music not only perfectly sets the mood, but doubles as a bit of fun fan service, naturally, every sound effect is also a perfect replica or send-up to the sound effects used in the films, and it looks and sounds like Ghostbusters. So, how does it play? Luckily, it plays very well indeed. The game uses a clever third-person over-the-shoulder camera view, using your proton pack itself as all the HUD you'll require. Your health is just a green bar on the backpack, your overheat gauge is there, as is the ammo count for weapons that have one. This makes the interface simple and intuitive at just a glance, the only major shift happening when you utilize your scouting goggles, which are linked to your PKE meter, a scanning mode that lets you sniff out treasures and ghosts that are hiding in the environment. This sets your view to a first-person setting to allow you to look around with more ease, but since you can toggle back and forth at will, you can use what works best when it works best. Your proton pack, an unlicensed nuclear accelerator, has bottomless ammo but does run the risk of overheating if you use it for long periods of time. To facilitate this, you have the option to manually vent your pack in lieu of reloading. Should you overheat, your weapons are locked for a short window of time as the automatic vent system kicks into gear and the system reboots. You'll get other weapons too, but I really don't want to spoil those. You'll need to find those on your own. But you're also armed with a standard hand-thrown ghost trap, as well as the mobile trap mounted atop the Ecto-1 when the situation calls for it. You use your proton stream and other ordnance to weaken a ghost's health bar. Ghosts have health, I know that sounds really silly, right? Once they're weakened, the beam will attempt to lasso the spectral fiend, and you can bring him down to trap level. The ghost will, of course, attempt to fight back, so you pull with the control stick to wrangle them in, with a periodic slamming motion to keep them guessing what's coming next. The very simple act of Bustin does, in fact, make me feel good. And each ghost you trap nets you some cold hard cash right on the spot, allowing you to upgrade your tools. This is explained as Egon investing in R&D, and the rookie being the one who gets to test new coming equipment that is likely to explode at any minute and blow them all clear to New Jersey. Clearly a fate worse than merely getting ghosted. So, you can make your weapons more powerful, fire for longer periods, or have new tricks like being able to slam dunk ghosts directly into the traps, a very satisfying thing to pull off, I must say, and much, much beyond that. This is made more interesting that enemies all come in different flavors, like how early game living gargoyle enemies are defeated by lassoing them and then smashing them into the ground or walls instead of trapping them. Or how some enemies will try to hide from you, and only netting a positive result on your PKE meter will force little snots back out into the open. To say nothing of the larger-than-life boss encounters, which get crazier as the game goes on. Ever wanted to see the giant slore that Vince Glorfo talked about? Well, it's a boss in this game, so you can! Further driving home the smooth gameplay experience is the teamwork aspect. If a Ghostbuster is knocked down with no health remaining, they'll be left prone until a teammate comes to pay the assist, which will revive them on the spot. However, this help goes two ways. If you end up over your head, your teammate will rush to your aid, which is a very cool feeling, mechanically speaking. The downside is, this makes areas where you're forced to venture solo for a time that much more stressful. And it also does not have a multiplayer mode, which feels like a very easy to correct problem by just having multiple rookie skins to pick from and the chance to co-op it. As I recall, the Wii version of this game did have co-op play, but I've never actually played that edition. That'll remain a review for another day, I suppose. All that being said, another thing that can kind of break immersion is sometimes the physics engine just doesn't fully understand what's happening. In an early bit of my recording session, Dan Aykroyd got bashed over the head by a poltergeist-driven chair and doesn't even flinch, but it still plays a very dramatic "ouch" voice clip in response. I know these things can't be perfect, and it is an older game now, but my point does stand. Likewise, some of the scene triggers are also imperfect. I'll sometimes get to the end of a level and I'll just stand there and float around and wait for a bit before the game realizes it needs to wake up and move on. But really, these are all very, very minor gripes. The gameplay is fast, smooth, intuitive, addictive. The writing is sharp, the character banter feels natural, even when Bill Murray isn't giving it 100%. The level design is creative, and it gets more chaotic and otherworldly as the plot unfurls. I cannot say enough nice things about it, up to and including that it genuinely feels like this was meant to be the trilogy topper that Dan Aykroyd had hoped for so long. I love Ghostbusters, the video game remastered, and if you love Ghostbusters at all, you owe it to yourself to play this game and get hit with a combination of both nostalgia and excellent game design and presentation. I promise you will definitely not go wrong here. This has been the Snek Buster, bringing the game back from the dead for your entertainment today. What did you think? Leave a comment down below. Did you play this game before? Do you love Ghostbusters as much as I do? If you do, make sure to bust that like button so I know. And for more like this each week, be sure to mash the subscribe and bell icons too. I do reviews, let's plays, tech overviews, and more, all right here. And like how the Ghostbusters never worked alone, my Tomodachi bros often drop in to give me the assist when I need it most. Join me here each and every week, and I will see you there.